Yo, what's going on, guys? I have a story for you today because I'm gonna be honest with you. I really thought today was the day. And what I mean is I really thought today was gonna end in a very, very bad way. Now, before I explain, there's two things that you guys need to know about me. One, I've always been a very paranoid person. It's just how I am. It's in my nature. I'm honestly just hardwired that way. I'm very pessimistic when it comes to certain situations, and that's just who I am. A lot of people in my life have always told me to try and change that mindset, but it's just me. It's Matthew Haig. That's just how it is. And the second thing you need to know about me is that I love watching movies in theaters. I love watching movies in general, but I think we can all agree that the experience is much better when you're at the movie theater. And after saying that, there's three things you need to know about me. My absolute biggest pet peeve is when I go into a movie theater or wherever I am, I hate the sound of people chewing. And it's actually known to be a real disorder. It's called misophonia, I think it is. I guarantee at least 10% of you watching this video know what I mean. But if someone's chewing with their mouth wide open, smacking their gums, chewing gum, whatever it may be, it drives me nuts. So usually movie theaters and me don't mix, because you have random people that are sitting shoulder to shoulder with you, eating popcorn, crunching the loudest food possible. I've accepted it. I don't project it on others. I let people know like that's a problem of mine. If I could change it, I would. I just can't. Now that you guys know all that about me, let's fast forward to present day. So I think about 2 months ago, a movie called Arrival came out in theaters. It's a sci-fi film. It's got incredible reviews, so I just had to see it for myself. Well, here's the thing. This movie did great in theaters, and so every single time I went to go purchase tickets, for the most part, every single theater was filled up. So this was one of those movies where I just said to myself, all right, I'm not gonna go see it in theaters. I would like to, but I just don't want to ruin that experience for me. So I'll wait till it comes out on Apple TV, and then I'll watch it from the comfort of my own couch. I won't have anybody here with me. I'll be able to enjoy it for everything that it is. It'll be great. About 2 months go by, the movie goes out of theaters, and then I find out that they are reintroducing the movie at theaters for an 8-minute extra footage director's cut. So they were gonna have just like a second round of the movie go out to the public. That was it. I was super hyped. I couldn't wait because I knew a lot of people had probably seen it, so this would be a good opportunity for me to go in the theater with nobody there and to enjoy it with the full theater experience. Boy, was I wrong. Now let's flash back about 12 hours ago today. There was a showing for this movie at 11:50 a.m. Jenna and I decided, since we have pretty irregular schedules for the work that we do, making YouTube videos and other brand-orientated things, that we would go see the movie in the middle of the day while everybody's at work on a weekday and there'd be nobody in the theater. That was the plan. I was so excited because I love sci-fi films. I had been waiting to see this movie. I thought I was gonna have to wait a couple more weeks, and it just so happened that we could see it now. I was stoked. It was honestly perfect. So we buy the tickets, we find out that there's nobody else reserved for the theater, and we were gonna get this incredible experience all by ourselves, no distractions, just get to enjoy the movie. 11:50 a.m. hits, and the previews start playing in the movie theater. Now, when those previews started, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was a little disappointed because about 6 or 7 people filed in, but I scoped it out right away. Nobody walked in with popcorn. I checked every single person that walked in. Nobody had popcorn, so I was good. And yes, I'm that crazy where every single person that walked in, I checked to see if they had popcorn. I'm telling you guys, it's a serious problem. The good thing about this was everybody was super courteous, and they did what any normal person would do. They all spread out across the movie theater, so nobody was sitting shoulder to shoulder with complete strangers. I was really happy about that. The final preview comes on right before the movie's about to start, and then there's one lone ranger walks into the movie theater, and of course, step by step, he just gets closer and closer and closer, and he sits literally right behind Jenna and I. This is an entire theater that's pretty much empty, and he sits right behind us. Within the first 5 minutes of the movie, this guy is wearing a windbreaker. He's kicking Jenna's chair, he's kicking my chair, moving about, making a bunch of noise. I swear to God, I thought he had some respiratory issue because he was coughing up a lung the entire time. He wasn't covering his mouth. I could feel the air hitting me. At this point, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was a little annoyed. Now, I need you guys to understand that I try not to project these problems on anybody. I avoid the possibility of me being pissed off. So that's why I wasn't gonna go see the movie when it was in theaters. So this went on for about 10 or 20 minutes, and you're probably sitting at home thinking, Nadeshot, are you really making a video video about you being annoyed at the movie theater? No, I am not, but this is just a build-up. We need to get to the part that motivated me to turn this camera on and tell you this story. Now, we're gonna talk about something that's a little more serious. I need to ask you guys this question because I'm sure a lot of you remember. A couple years ago, there was a really big movie theater shooting that went down in, I think it was Aurora, Colorado. And for me, I told you guys that I'm a pretty paranoid person. Whenever I walk on a plane, I think to myself, okay, I'm in an aluminum tube being flown across the country by two people that I have never met, surrounded by absolute strangers, whirling through the sky at 600 miles per hour, 30,000 feet up. That's the mindset that I have when I step onto an airplane. So ever since these movie shootings went down, I really have stopped going to the theater as often. I know that might be a stupid and foolish thought, but you never know what could happen. You really do never know. Anything could happen. And I guess it doesn't make sense to be afraid of the unknown, but my friend Nick says avoid the possibility. So I stopped going to the theater less over the years after that whole event went down. It just rubbed me the wrong way, and it's something that I'm always paranoid about now when I go into the theater. So now that you guys know that, you're not even gonna believe what happens next. So this movie is 2 hours long. I need you guys to know that when I say this, I mean it. You know how sometimes a movie starts, about 10 minutes go by, and 2 or 3 people occasionally will file in because they were running late? It's a normal thing, it happens. It happens all the time in theaters. I'm not even kidding when I say this. I'm not exaggerating. An hour into the movie, a person walks into the theater. An hour into this movie, a person walks into the theater. Now, you guys know how dark it gets in a movie theater. So at the time, it really just looked like a figure was walking in. But here is what made me paranoid. And I'm not even kidding, it sent shivers down my spine. It was 75 degrees today in California. And some guy walks into the movie theater an hour into the showtime wearing a trench coat and a full backpack. I can't make this up. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not embellishing this story in any way. You can ask Jenna, who is sitting right next to me. Some dude, an hour into the movie, walks in with a trench coat in 75-degree weather and a backpack on. He makes his way into the theater a couple steps up and sits right below Jenna and I, a couple seats down, right by the stairs. So he's all the way on the aisle. Jenna and I had the same thought. We looked at each other back and forth like, oh, dude, like, you gotta be kidding me. Well, this morning started with us seeing a movie that we thought was gonna be completely empty, and now we're in this situation where we're just really uncomfortable. I know some of you guys might not think the same way that Jenna and I did, but you gotta understand, we always think about what happened a couple years ago with those movie theater shootings. At this point, we were just spooked. We just kept looking at each other, we kept looking at this guy, and what was so strange is that he sat on the aisle, but he placed his gigantic bag with a seat in between him and then his bag. He was taking up 3 seats. This doesn't mean anything, but we just thought it was strange. We tried to forget about it. We kept watching the movie, and then about 5 minutes passed on, and then this guy just stands up. It wasn't a full stand where he's like completely erect, blocking the screen, but he physically got out of his chair, reached over to his backpack, and started going through it. I'm not even kidding, guys. What was running through my mind is, I'm the closest person sitting next to this dude. What am I gonna have to do in case something pops off? I was just going through so many different scenarios. It's just how I am, and I worry about stuff like that. So I'm going through scenario after scenario. What happens if this is real? What happens if something similar to what happened a couple years ago at those theaters were to go down right now in front of me? It was almost like it was slow motion. This guy went into his bag, took something out, couldn't really tell what it was, but obviously it wasn't a piece, like it wasn't a gun. So our worst nightmares were not realized. But the entire scenario was just strange. And this happened twice. This guy got up out of his seat, went into his bag. One time he grabbed his phone. Another time he grabbed a mini bag. It was just so strange. Dude came in an hour into the movie and was just fidgeting with this gigantic backpack with a trench coat. And then 10 minutes later, he left. He wasn't even in the theater for half an hour. He didn't even stay to the end of the show. He was literally in there for about 20 minutes, and then he was gone. Jenna and I, at the same time, had a sigh of relief. We were just so happy that this guy had left. But now, do you guys remember at the beginning of the story where this dude came in wearing a windbreaker, was kicking our seats and everything else? Well, it turns out that this guy, an hour and a half into this 2-hour movie, decides to leave And we didn't realize it, but this guy walked out with a suitcase in his hand in the middle of the movie and just left the theater. Me and Jenna at this point make eye contact for the millionth time in this movie, just thinking to ourselves, what is going on? What is up with all these strange people in this theater at 12 o'clock in the afternoon? And then after 5 minutes, this guy comes right back in with his suitcase, which we didn't know he had at the time, and then sits in the same exact seat that the dude with the trench coat and the backpack was sitting in earlier. It was the most bizarre experience that I've ever had at a movie theater. The movie ends, everything is fine, the lights come on, we get out of there as fast as possible and just burst out talking to each other about it. Because we were thinking the same thing the entire time, just making eye contact like, oh my God, what is going on? Now, some of you watching this might think that we were completely out of our minds and it was completely far-fetched, but that's why I explained to you guys at the beginning, I'm paranoid. I think about things like that. Whenever I go into a room, I'm always scoping out where the exits are and the fastest way to get out of there. It's just how I am. And I know there's gotta be a ton of you guys that are the same way. With the birth of social media over the last decade and the way that we consume media, it seems like the news these days are only negative things. I'm not getting into politics, but everything with Trump and Hillary Clinton over the last year. And all you ever hear about are shootings going down at nightclubs, and all you hear about are shootings going down in the streets of Chicago, or you hear about planes crashing or bombs going down in foreign countries across the seas. It just seems like all of news is negative. So it's just hardwired my brain into thinking that Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So that's why whenever I get on a plane or whenever I'm in a movie theater, whenever I'm in public places, that's just how I think. And I know that might be a problem, and I know that's very pessimistic, but that's just how I am. It's safe to say that I'm making this video so everything turned out all right. Nothing ended up happening. It just must have been this huge, crazy coincidence. It was just all very bizarre. I'm just glad that I'm sitting here making this video for you guys. I wanted to share this story with you. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments if any of you guys are similar to me in the way that I think, and let me know what you would have done in this situation. What would you have been thinking if this happened to you in front of you? I appreciate you guys watching the video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and YouTube. We'll see you budging later. Goodbye.